So to start this one, you're going to need to make sure you have the pen, the slider, and the base parts already downloaded and open in SolidWorks. If you haven't done that yet, go ahead and do it now. Once you get those three pieces done, you're going to notice that you have three separate sections. This is the base, has a hole through the middle and a place for the slider to go through. There's a slider here, and then there is a pin that's going to fit into both of them. Our goal here is to take and create kind of a lifelike representation of what the assembly would look like. So we're going to create it and put in constraints that allow the slider to move back and forth inside this channel, but you can't pull it out of the channel, like you can't lift it up and off. And then we'll make it so that the pen can slide into this hole or through the hole in the slider, one of the three holes in the slider. But once again, it'll be stuck to that so it doesn't actually move anywhere but inside in that particular place. So just like we've done before in the past, we're going to go to File, we're going to make Assembly from Part. If you don't see this up here, there'll be a little arrow next to the word SolidWorks. You can click that arrow, see the word File, and then choose Make Assembly from Part. Once you've got that in there, you want to make sure the word Base is highlighted over here on the left. If you don't see the word Base, you can click the Browse button, go out and find it in your Downloads folder. We're going to put the base in first so that it gets locked in place and it's not movable. Everything else will move around it. So since we're varying constraints, we're going to use a different set of mates on this one so that things move differently each time. We're going to insert the slider first. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that slider piece. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and place it and make sure that I don't touch the original piece so this one doesn't get locked. We want this one to be able to move. Now, we want this one to kind of stay attached to this surface, and we want it to stay attached to the side surface. We don't want to lock the end of it because we want it to be able to slide back and forth, so we only want two constraints on this one. So I'm going to go into the paperclip. I'm going to choose coincident because I want the two pieces to touch. And I want this surface here, which is the top surface of the inside of that channel. I'm going to rotate around to touch this surface here, which is the bottom of the slider. You'll notice the slider will move up and then the two surfaces will actually touch one another. That looks good, so I'm going to hit the check mark here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the side. So once again, I'm going to use coincident. I'm going to take and click that piece right there. And I'm going to click this side right here. That's going to take and make sure that those two touch. Okay. The last one that I'm going to do is I'm going to take and choose parallel, and I'm going to make sure that this side and the back side stay parallel. So I'm going to hit the check mark, and that's going to make sure that these two pieces don't shift so that this piece doesn't pivot as it goes through. So once I've got those three things in there, then I can take and check it out and see how it works. If I grab that piece, you'll notice that it slides back and forth. If I try and go left or right, it still just stays inside the channel. It doesn't move anywhere else. So that's exactly what I want. I want that to be able to move. I want it to stay in the channel, but I don't want it to be able to move anywhere other than in the channel. So the next piece that I'm going to put in is the pin. So I'm going to go to Insert Components. I'm going to click on Pin. Okay. Again, I'm going to place that pin in here. I'm going to make sure it's not touching here when I click so that it goes into the setup and doesn't get locked. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to use Move with Triad. And then I'm going to kind of grab this and point it down. It doesn't have to be exact. I don't need an exact number. It doesn't have to be exactly straight up and down. I just want to make sure that it's roughly in the right direction. Click my paperclip tool again. I'm going to choose, this time I want to make sure it's concentric. So I want to go concentric. That's going to line up two circles. So I want to line up this circle here with this circle here. Now I could also do this by selecting the outside of the pin and the inside of the circle. Any circles on this item and a circle on this item, I could use that concentric tool and it'll line those two up. Okay, so I can go ahead and click that button or the check mark and that will place that one where it should be. So now I have this one and it'll thread through that hole there, the pen will go through. And then I could do the same thing if I had the slider in place. I could go ahead and put it in there. Now in this particular case, there's another tool that I want you to kind of look at underneath Move Component. So I want you to click Move Component, turn on Collision Detection, and stop at collision. What that's going to do is if I happen to place the pin in and I move this, it'll actually stop and get stuck. So it acts like real life, so it kind of makes the object solid. If that's not on, so I'm going to click that check mark and turn it off. If that's not on, then the objects don't act solid, and you can still move things through one another. So if you want to check fit and make sure that things actually act and fit the way they're supposed to, you can turn on Move Component, Collision Detection, and make sure Stop at Collision is checked. And then when I put items in, you'll notice that I won't be able to take and move them. They'll look like they're solid. So that's the last piece of this. Make sure you show your instructor before, after you save, and before you turn off.